Right, we're going to start this bit again. So ready? Hello and welcome to my second of two videos about how we've been getting on with our Adria Adora Isonzo. So if you missed the first video, that was all about my personal opinion about the exterior, and this video is all about my personal opinion about the interior. Now what you have to remember is that a caravan by very design is always a compromise between price, living space, weight, specification and towability. So everybody's needs are different and every caravan is responding to each need in a fairly different way. So if you're going to have a lot of space, you sacrifice some towability. If you want something that's very small and easy to tow, then you might be sacrificing living space and specification. So what I'm about to say now is all really based on my needs and what I need and my opinion. It might be completely different to your needs, but I'll try and do this in a very open and honest way and help you make any caravan purchasing decisions in the future. Now, the main thing about this caravan is, would I stop any of my friends from buying one? The answer is absolutely not. There is nothing inherently wrong at all with this caravan. There are a few things that I find really annoying, and there are a lot of things that I find really good. So let's crack on and start with the things that I really like about this caravan. And the main thing for me is quite simply, it's the interior style and the ambiance. Now what's interesting about an Adria is the fact that it has very cool European styling, but the UK specific models are actually designed specifically for the UK market. So they are quite different to what you would buy in other European countries. However, I love this cool, chic, bright, open interior. And that's all helped by this fantastic skylight here. 3 front windows where our cousins across the water only have the one. Sorry guys. And we also have another great window over the bed where a lot of UK caravans have a headboard. Now I much prefer the extra daylight during the day in the bedroom, but you must also be aware that that will allow for little chinks of daylight coming in under the blind. So if you're really sensitive to daylight, you may prefer a caravan that's got a headboard in place of a window. Me, I prefer the window in place of a headboard. There are others who also don't like all these windows at the front because they say that it could contribute to a leak in the near future. That's again something you just have to balance out. Do you want all this light, bright daylight at the risk of possible water ingress in the future, or would you just prefer one tiny little window? That's the choice you have to make. Another thing I love about this caravan, and everyone who watches my caravan videos will know, I love the Alder central heating system. So the radiators that go all around the caravan, and in this Adria caravan it's very well designed with plenty of areas for the air to flow through, plenty of the false backs to let the air come up behind the sofas, behind the bed, radiator in the shower, and a fantastic new programmable display, much better than the old displays where you needed a week's course and then an exam to work out how to program it. These new controllers are fantastic, so really love the heating system that comes as standard now in UK Adria Adoras. And finally, the other thing I love about this caravan is the nighttime lighting, especially this gorgeous panel in the kitchen. I think it's really classy. And these reading lights are fantastic because they are spotlights, but you can also pop them out and have them directing onto where you're reading. So I think the nighttime lighting is terrific. Deal breakers. The first one is this lounge. Adria have tried to cater for the UK market with this lounge, and in my opinion they've only got so far. I've noticed, for example, in Germany you have one big solid table in the lounge and it's fairly fixed. You can put it up and down, but it's this huge solid table. Now, most UK buyers do not like this big table getting in the way. So what we have is we have this smaller table that's in a cupboard that you can put up, and then we have this little table here. Now, I like to eat at the table and I do a lot of work at my laptop. This is no good, because if you're trying to work at a laptop or if you're trying to eat, you're twisted around and it really hurts your back. In my opinion, this little seat here is a complete and utter waste of time. Who is going to sit on that tiny little seat? Possibly if you've got friends coming over, you'll put the table down and put the seat there, but really I think it's far more of a hindrance than it is a help. What I would prefer to see, quite simply, is to get rid of this box completely and have a larger fold-up table here, so that I could put my legs underneath and sit comfortably and eat and work without having to retrieve the main table. The problem with retrieving the main table is, number one, it's just a bit awkward to get out of the cupboard, and number two, it's not a great height or size when it's eventually here, because it has to be small enough to be light enough to be able to put up. And as I say, for me, having now lived with this caravan for about 10 days, it doesn't work for me. For you, however, if you generally eat off trays or you maybe eat outside in the awning, it could be great, because you've got this little coffee table here, you put your coffee mugs on in the morning, and if you're happy to eat off your lap, or if you're going to get the table out every meal time or just leave the table out, then it might not bother you. But for me, there are far better solutions out there on the UK market. So sorry, Adria, but it's a great attempt at trying to please the UK market. I think you need to rethink this bit. Personally, get rid of that box and make this table bigger, and I'll be happy. And the last thing that I find not so much a deal breaker, but it's a bit more than a niggle, is the design of the shower cubicle. Now, it's probably best if I use a bit of a diagram here, but the shower tray butts straight up to the wall of the caravan, and it relies on the integrity of the sealant in this corner. If this sealant were to fail, you may get water into the fabric of the caravan, which is really bad news. What I would prefer to see is a tray that has a lip here, and then you have proper lining coming down the wall overlapping this lip, so that if the sealant here were to fail, there is still no physical way of the water getting into the fabric of the caravan. Now, I mentioned this to Candy at the Camping and Caravanning Club, who had the caravan before me. She wanted to point out that the downside of my system is that it can lead to some very expensive repairs if you damage one of these large panels. So again, just telling you this so you could maybe make up your own mind, I would prefer to see this lip on the shower tray and this lining here. But again, you may be quite happy with this system, which is much simpler, but it does rely on the integrity of the sealant in this corner here. Breakages and failures, as far as the interior goes, none. Zero, nada, rien. So, well done, Adria. Quirks and niggles. Now, Paul Simon had 50 ways to leave your lover, and Adria have given you 5 ways to open a cupboard. Why? Method number 1 is the fixed handle with the clip on the inside. Method number 2 is the handle that you actually push down because it is hinged as it is part of the retaining clip. Method number 3 is the fixed handle but with the separate retaining clip that you have to operate before you pull the handle. Method number 4 is the clip on its own, that you pull the clip to open the door. And then method number 5 is where you have to push the entire door to open it. It's not really a niggle, but why is it necessary to have 5 different locker opening mechanisms, I ask you? On the subject of Quirks, the quality in general is very good, and then every now and again there's this weird why did they do that moment, and there's a great example with the 3 drawers under the sink. The top 2 drawers are on these beautiful runners with soft close mechanisms, and you just want to keep closing them because they close so beautifully. And then you open the bottom cupboard where there's no room to fit a drawer mechanism, and you see this plastic retaining clip that it doesn't look like it's going to last for 5 minutes before it breaks. Now, I know that they've probably tested this to 100,000 openings like you see on the IKEA advert, but the problem is that that wouldn't account for the fact that the plastic will dry out over a course of a few years and become brittle. So I really don't see this lasting very long at all. It's just a bit mind-boggling why they invest so much in such great quality drawer mechanisms and then they get to the bottom and think, I can't be bothered with that, we'll just chuck an old cable tie. That's what it looks like. It really doesn't look very good, and I don't think that's going to last for 5 minutes. Another niggle is, as I touched on in the walkthrough of the caravan, is the fact there are no USB sockets in this caravan. There's only the one 12-volt socket, which is by the TV point by the door. I would have expected a USB socket at least by the bed, and preferably a main socket, because the main socket in the bedroom is randomly halfway up a wall, and even if you were to put a TV point there, the cable would be coming halfway down the wall to plug in the TV, and there's no aerial point there. So why there is this socket in the middle of a wall in the bedroom and then nothing by the bed is quite annoying, really. However, it should be fairly easy to get a dealer to fit a main socket and a 12-volt socket next to the bed into the side of the wardrobe. As one viewer commented when I showed you the walkthrough, the black plastic on the front of the fridge and the cupboards above and below are very good at trapping fingerprints. The way I get around that is that when I wash up every evening, I give them a quick wipe down and then a wipe down with a tea towel. Gets rid of all the fingerprints. It's just something to be aware of to keep them looking smart. Now, the microwave, most people are going to appreciate the microwave. Personally, I never use a microwave oven. However, it looks fairly easy to remove this trim around the microwave and remove it and leave it at home. That's what I would do if this was my caravan. Similarly with this TV bracket, I don't watch TV, I don't have a TV, I think this is really ugly. So if this were my caravan, I would remove this and just plug up the screw holes. This big panoramic window, it looks really good, it lets in a load of light, but when you want to open it on a hot day, it only opens a couple of centimetres. So it doesn't actually give you a huge amount of ventilation, unlike a Hecky roof light where you can open it right up. That only opens a couple of inches, so it doesn't offer a great amount of ventilation or cooling on a hot day. So that really just sums up all the niggles I have about this caravan. Not many. There's far more things that I like about it, especially the great storage, great wardrobe, loads of roof lockers, storage under the bed, terrific storage in the washroom as well, where you can put all your little bits and pieces down the side of the sink. So I absolutely really love all those aspects of this caravan. Now, before I finish, I want to briefly talk about the kitchen, because that same kitchen is fitted to almost every Adria caravan and motorhome. So this is of general interest to anyone buying an Adria. I think this kitchen is really well designed, especially for preparing food, because you've got this area of preparation in front of the hob. However, when it comes to washing up, it's not all it seems, because you need to clear off the cooker and lower the lid, and then get the plastic drainer to put over the cooker lid to put your washing up when you've finished washing. So you stack up the dirty cups along the front of the work surface, wash them up, and then you put them on the drainer that goes over the hob. This is fine if you don't want to use the hob, but what about if you're like me and you want to make a cup of tea while you're washing up? That's where it falls down. You have to move the dirty crocks out of the way, and then you take the plastic draining board, and obviously you don't want to be risking that anywhere near a hot flame, because that's just going to melt and even possibly even catch fire. So you certainly don't want that anywhere near the hob while it's in use. So what I do is I use this tea towel. It's like a toweling drainer tea towel that I fold in half, put across the front of the hob, and then I can still boil a kettle for my cup of tea and do the washing up. The downside, of course, is that all the dirty cups and plates have to be stacked to the left of everything before they can go into the sink to be washed up. Generally though, the kitchen works really well. And another thing I love about the kitchen is this lovely splashback that's lit up at night. I think it looks really, really nice. So there you go, that concludes my review at the moment of the Adria Isonzo. I've only been in it for about 10 days, got a couple more weeks to go yet, so I'll be making another video before I say goodbye to the Adria to tell you of anything else I found while I've been living with it. If you're a member of the Camping and Caravanning Club, you'll be pleased to know that in the September issue of the club magazine, the very lovely Candy Evans has also done a review of this very caravan. So if you're a Camping and Caravanning Club member, do check out Candy's review in the September issue of the magazine. But in the meantime, that concludes my 2 reviews outside and inside of the Adria Adora. I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope you found them useful if you're going on to buy a caravan or motorhome. If you did enjoy them, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you don't already, and it just leaves me to say, from me and from a very excited Dougal, thanks for tuning in. Dougal, you could look a little bit more animated. Hello? Hello, Dougal? Hello? Oh, well...